and welcome back to Tech Talks, the People and Planet podcast. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of mindfulness and well-being with a very special guest, Mathew, the founder of Equa Health. Mathew's journey combines a passion for meditation, a background in startups, and a real dedication to bridging the gap in mental health support. So join us as we explore the innovative approach of Equa Health in making mindfulness not just a personal practice, but also a transforming and engaging experience as well. So, Mathew, welcome to the show. It's an absolute pleasure to have you today.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. It's a pleasure to be here.
Cool. So, look, I'm keen to dive in and dig a little bit deeper into all things Equa Health. So I wondered to kind of sort of kick things off for anybody listening. I wondered maybe if you could, share some information around the specific gap within the mindfulness space that really inspired you to start Equa Health, and how your kind of sort of personal mindfulness journey has sort of played a role in that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was very fortunate to have been introduced to mindfulness and meditation at a young age. And I've had my own journey with mental health, and we can talk more about that if you'd like. But the most important thing is that right now we're in the middle of a massive mental health epidemic. We're stressed out more than ever, experiencing mental distress more than ever. Our kids are reporting higher than ever levels of loneliness. And like even at the low end of the spectrum, like I think we're all feeling some level of low grade PTSD post pandemic. So to me, the need is obvious. Equa is based in the US, where 55% of American adults say that they rely on alcohol, cannabis, or medication to fall asleep at night. So, that's that's an insane number to me. And it like hits me every time. And there's this paradigm that we're living in of relief, right? Like where so many of us are just grasping for reprieve from our lives. And I think what's funny is that, like, as we consider getting into the app space, a lot of the apps that are out there are rooted in a similar mindset. They have these huge libraries where you can find anything you want, really, like a pep talk from a LeBron, DJ from Kaiga, bedtime story from Matthew McConaughey, and that's great. Like, he's got a great voice. I'm not saying there's not a place for that, but that's not how you develop skills for your life, right? Like, we got our start in the Health and Human Performance Lab at Carnegie Mellon. My co-founder, David Cresswell, is this amazing scientist who spent the past 20 years really figuring out like what the core ingredients for teaching these skills are. And so our curriculum, which is built on the unified mindfulness system, is really rooted in this goal of helping people build 3 core skills, one of which is equanimity. That's what Equa is short for. And if you're not familiar with that term, it's kind of like the resilience muscle. In other words, like your ability to sit with life's pushes and pulls, to sit through adversity and respond to it rather than react. And at our core, our approach is based on this idea that you can train mental resilience. Like, we are a mental resilience company. You've got to train your brain just like you would train any other muscle in your body. And so our goal at Equa is to give people tools to change the way that they're moving through their lives, as opposed to giving people a reprieve from their life, right? Like, life is always going to throw challenges at you. Think of the economy, foreign affairs, like things are tough, and this news is getting thrown at us like faster and faster than ever. At least it feels like it is. And it's the skills and techniques that you have to respond to those challenges in the moment that's really dictate how you feel and how you show up. And that's what we want to help people do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, 100%, there's as you said yourself, at the moment there's a need for this more, I think, more than ever. It's I think there's a crazy stat as well. I think here in the UK, I'm not sure exactly what the number is, but I'm sure it's sort of like north of 70% of people admit to having some sort of mental issues, and in terms of feeling depressed or anxiety, and as I say, obviously more now than ever, given the post-pandemic side of things, as well as you mentioned. So 100% can see the importance of what you're doing here. So you mentioned there, and I think we've kind of sort of discussed in kind of sort of off-screen conversations previous to this as well. And, we've kind of sort of talked about the importance of the feedback and data in Equa Health's kind of sort of approach to things. I guess, how do you ensure that the users are getting meaningful feedback on their progress? And what role does the kind of sort of science and research side play in that process overall?
Yeah. So, I mean, science and research is what it's all built on, right? Like, the trick is taking that research and matching it with an experience that's compelling for people.
Yeah.
When we think about feedback, like what we're really saying is, here, this is the progress you're making. I think everyone wants to feel like they're making progress when they put any effort into anything. Like, I think that's just true across the board. And when you talk about mindfulness, I think a really common sentiment that people have coming out of like a meditation experience, especially for beginners, is like, what the heck just happened? Like, what what am I supposed to be doing? Like, did that work? And when you think of mental health in general, like, you're talking about the inner landscape, right? Like, it's subtle. When you go to the gym, you feel like you've just worked out. Like, you're tired, your muscles get sore. It's tangible. Over time, you start building muscle, you're toning, losing weight, more energy, sleeping better. You can see it, you can feel it. But again, like, when you're meditating, it's really hard to tell whether it's working. And it takes a little to be able to pick up on that nuance and start to see that shift happening. And so, like, my feeling is, for any habit to become self-sustaining, like, you need a barometer for success. There's got to be clear signals that you're making progress in the right direction. And so that's what we're talking about when we say feedback. Equa views our job as being to help people see those signals, right? To really make mindfulness meditation more tangible for them. And so a major way we do that is through data. We collect data in the right ways. That's the science. And we show it to them meaningful enough. That's the design, to help them feel good about the progress they're making. And so there's different ways that we do that. When we're working with our business to business clients, we are doing assessments to look at outcomes. And so we're looking at data in those ways. The big push that we're making is around biosignal feedback. So looking at respiration to help people understand what's happening to them in the moment as they're training. So what's happening with my mindfulness level, my skill level, as I'm dropping into a training zone, and looking at the contours of the breath to help people understand that. If you've ever done Orange Theory, or if you're familiar with that concept, you have this orange zone that you're trying to push yourself to get into while you're working out. We're starting to put something similar together in the mindfulness space.
Yeah, no, it's super interesting, and I think, again, certainly needed. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that I kind of sort of do meditation every night or anything like that, but I certainly go through spells of doing meditation. And I think a lot of the time there's a drop off. I go through sort of phases where I'll be doing it every night for a month or two, and then I'll just stop. But I think a lot of the time it's because you never know kind of where you are at with it. As you say, that you're not necessarily seeing that progression. And I think that would be really key, and actually, helping people maintain it over a longer period of time as well.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I couldn't agree more. For us, like, it's all about showing people a progression, showing people progress. Instead of just being this menu list of like things you can choose from, like, we're going to take you through a curriculum, and we're going to show you, hey, like, here's the progress that you're making, in a hopefully a more meaningful and tangible way.
Yeah, because I guess at the moment, a lot of people, there's not really much out there like this, to my understanding. So I guess a lot of the time people are using things like YouTube and things like that, really to kind of sort of do those meditations or those guided meditations and that sort of thing. Which again, obviously, you're not getting that kind of feedback on progression. So no, it's really cool. So yeah, I guess as we know in the world today, that attention spans are becoming probably shorter than what they have been previously. You have all these kind of sort of reels and sort of short TikToks and things like that, and that's just what people are used to consuming. So I guess, how do you kind of sort of balance that, the kind of sort of, I guess, gamification kind of sort of side to things, and keep users engaged with that, that, I guess, that core goal of helping them learn and integrate mindfulness skills into their life, really?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Duolingo got a lot of things right,
Yeah.
and we're based in Pittsburgh. They're based in Pittsburgh. We really view them as like a big brother and look up to them in many ways, and take a lot of example from them. But I think, like, when it comes to gamification, there's a lot of things you can do, right? Like, there's proven methods that work: push notifications, presenting content and curriculum in more dynamic, fun ways, visual ways, animations, that kind of thing. For me, it comes down to, look, if the choice is no mindfulness today or 30 seconds of mindfulness today, I
Yeah.
pick 30 seconds every time. Like, go to the gym every day, even if you just do one exercise, like, hey, you made it. Um, Now, we also know that dose is important. It matters. The more you practice, both in consistency and in duration, the more optimal your outcomes are going to be.
Sure.
We also know what we're up against, right? Like, our competitors aren't just mindfulness apps or even therapists. Like, it's TikTok and Instagram. Like, I talk about this relief paradigm. I mean, if you're ever at a loss for what's causing you mental distress, like, figure out what's going through your mind in the seconds before you reach for your phone. Like, that's that'll tell you a lot.
Yeah.
So I mean, there are a number of things that we're building, and that we're already doing, and that we want to be doing more of. We know we need to be doing more of in the app. And I mean, we don't need to get into AI at this point, but there's a lot of opportunity there for helping us, continue to deliver that, continue to personalize it. For us, personalization is a big piece. We're asking people questions as they go throughout the training, so it feels more like a conversation. It's not just, a one-way kind of guidance. It's like, hey, let's try this exercise. How was that for you? Did you experience this? Did you experience this? Okay, great. Let's dial in your training a little bit more. I think that really goes a long way, in that it feels like a conversation. And I think everyone can appreciate, like, not just being talked at, but also listened to.
Yeah. And then it feels like, from kind of sort of what you're saying there, that there's certainly an element and kind of, I guess that kind of sort of connection in terms of there's also a whole community out there, right, in terms of the mindfulness aspect. So I guess from that side of things, how does Equa Health sort of foster that sense of community, and how does that overall enhance the user experience?
Yeah. I mean, why are exercise classes so powerful?
Sure.
Like, there's this built-in sense of accountability to the group, this feeling like you're going through it with other people. It's a challenge, but, like, you're doing it together. You have a coach supporting you, pushing you. You have people you see each week, depending on, how you structure your life or your workouts, that are going to know if you haven't been showing up, or if you have. I think a lot of the prevailing ideas about meditation today is that you're meant to do it alone. Um, a disclaimer: Equa is completely secular, but in Buddhism, you have this concept of the Sangha, right? Sangha means community. Like, you practice not alone, but with other people. There's something really powerful to that, and we look at that, and we incorporate that into how we deliver our own training. And so in Equa, we take advantage of this by working with teams, nurses, frontline workers, office workers, athletes. And we use this dynamic to create a support system, so that getting off the ground, it's not just like, oh, here's an app, go try it, see if it sticks, but rather, hey, we're going to do this together as a group. You're going to have a
Sure.
coach motivating you and helping you clear roadblocks along the way. And, hopefully you get a lot more out of it and helps you stick with it, especially in those first few days, that first stretch of time where like the most drop off happens.
Sure, sure. And I know you mentioned AI there, I am keen to kind of sort of dig a bit into that really. So I know as
Mm,
you kind of sort of do engage, kind of sort of B2B clients, and there is the kind of sort of group sort of coaching sort of sessions as you mentioned as well. How do you kind of envisage the integration of AI and sort of potential chatbots in I guess enhancing those interactions and supporting users on their journeys really?
yeah, I mean, we teach a pretty robust curriculum in the Unified Mindfulness System, and it's really focused on that curriculum. There's a lot of subtleties that these large language models aren't capable of picking up on yet. It's heading that direction, but not yet. And like I can envision a world where there's an AI-enabled meditation coach supporting human coaches in helping you with questions as they pop up, giving you motivation at the right times, asking the questions that are going to help you actualize your training. Uh, my take is that the jury's still out on what's optimal there, like human versus computer. I don't think any of us like the idea of being supported entirely by a computer. I
Oh,
don't know, personally, like there's something a little weird about that. I think we all kind of
yeah.
have that sentiment. Um, I think there's always going to have to be a human element there, but I do think that like those humans can be AI supported and enabled.
Mm,
What's more exciting to me, to be honest, is using this technology to pick out and jump on the opportunities for training and for starting to instill this into people's lives.
yeah,
Um, you think of like any new habit that you build, like it started because like you made the decision at the like there's something about timing in that, like you can want to start a new habit, but there's like something about this like this alchemy of like you've been thinking about it for a while, like you have the right space in your life, like it comes to you at the right time. And I think that happens like on bigger scales when you're like, hey, I'm gonna incorporate a new habit in my life, and smaller scales where it's like, hey, I'm just gonna do this thing today, right? Like timing is so key. And I
sure.
think that there's a lot of opportunity to like pick out, learn about, jump on those opportunities for training. Like what's going to be the best technique to teach this person based on the context of their life in this moment? What are the
Yeah,
physiological markers, their wearables, the tone, the cadence of their voice, their breathing patterns, how they slept last night? Like it might seem a little creepy bringing this data in, but like I can tell you, your watch is already doing it, right? Like
sure.
we can teach them these skills in the right moment and how we deliver these skills in the right moment. I think like if we can get that right, we're just going to see a lot more retention, and like it's going to probably make a lot more meaningful outcomes. That's my opinion, because it's like if you can get the right information to people at the right moment, it's just going to go that much further.
Yeah, no, absolutely, totally agree. Um, So yeah, I guess sort of final question from me really. I wondered maybe if you could give us a bit of an insight into what the future plans might be for Equa Health. Any exciting features or developments on the horizon that you could maybe give us a little bit of a sneak peek into, perhaps.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of opened up the hood a little bit with the biosignal respiration R&D that we're doing. So using a person's respiration, understand, the skill level that they're at while
Sure.
they're meditating, to show them what's happening to them, to give them like more meaningful, tangible feedback in
Yeah.
the moment. Um, we're really focused on that right now. Um, we've recently gone through a process of applying for a grant through the NIH in the United States to help us with R&D around this. So knock on wood, we're going to be finding out about that in about 10 days or so. So,
No.
I guess what I'd say to the world is keep an eye out for this. If you'd like the chance to
Yeah.
participate as a beta user, please do reach out. Equihealth.io, you can find us online. Um, our goal is to create more resilient people. And if you're serious about wanting to build up some skills for your mindset, come give Equa a try. Like I can't promise it's going to be easy the entire time, I can promise that if you stick with it for a bit, you're going to notice a difference in how you're moving through your life.
Excellent, excellent. Well, there you have it. I think that kind of sort of wraps up the conversation with Mathew. We've learned a ton. I certainly have, about the kind of sort of intersection really of mindfulness and technology, and I guess the challenges of engaging users in as we mentioned, quite a distracting world at the moment. So no, thank you so much for your time, Mathew. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. And if you are interested in learning more about Equa Health, please go visit the website, equahealth.io, or give Mathew or the company page a follow on LinkedIn. Please don't forget to subscribe if you have enjoyed this conversation, for plenty more enriching conversations with inspiring leaders. As always, until next time, stay curious and keep innovating. Mathew, thank you once again. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Take care, Tony.
Cheers. Thanks. Bye-bye.